Hey, good evening, everybody. We got a extra special show for you tonight. As many of you were probably expecting, I was just going to have Steve Morger on for the show tonight. We're going to be talking about Lake Como and Big Wow and his art collection and his history as an art collector. But we've got an extra special guest as part of tonight's show, and that's going to be Frank Cho. So I don't want to leave these guys in the green room any longer because I know this is going to be a night that probably many of you may want to forget, but never will. So let me bring in both Steve and Frank. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. Good.
Yeah, I am. I'm fantastic, and it's so funny. I know it hasn't been that long since I've seen you both, but it feels like literally like 8 or 9 years. I mean, it feels like I haven't seen. Well, there's probably a lot of people I could say that about, but you guys, I mean, we had so much fun doing Big Wow, and I feel like after Big Wow happened, I've just been focused on CAF and other things, and you guys have been doing your own thing, and so it's good to have you both here tonight.
Yeah, I think the only thing that we've seen you at is San Diego since Big Wow.
And and the thing is, I think I actually missed the 3 San Diegos before the pandemic, so it's been maybe at least 2. So
it has
been a long while.
7 or 8, 9 years. Because I think Big Wow, the last show was 2014.
That's right. Yeah, no, I remember. I was talking about that with somebody the other day. It's been a long time since the Big Wow days. Ron Lim says Frank the tank top.
Because I'm wearing tank top because it's 82 degrees in my studio right now. It was like in the low 80s in Maryland, and then tomorrow the weather's gonna I think it'll take like a 20 degrees drop. So it's been a crazy weather right now today. So I didn't turn on the AC. I didn't want to turn the AC for like a day, so I just decided to just suck it up.
Yeah, we thought you just came in from the gym.
40s and raining.
Well, Ohio's not much better than any of that either, but it's cold.
Is it snowing? Is it snowing up in Ohio?
Oddly enough, in the 10-day forecast, in about 3 or 4 days, it's supposed to snow here again. So it sucks living here. I tell you, I can't. I bought a house in Florida. I actually am moving there, which may not be a better move because it's going to be too darn hot probably all the time. But we're planning on moving down there permanently, probably late July, early August. So at least I won't have to shovel snow anymore. That's really what I was trying to avoid.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. In a couple of years, I'm trying to move to Vegas.
Vegas would be cool.
Yeah.
I know somebody who just closed their gallery in LA, and they're moving their business out to Vegas as well. So, I mean,
who's this?
Matt Kennedy from Pop Sequentialism is the website he runs. I forget the name of his gallery, unfortunately, but rent has gone up so much in LA. He was in LA, and he was like, I got to get out of here, find a better place. And Vegas was where he chose. He was looking there and a few other places, but yeah. And they do a lot of art gallery stuff, comic art related stuff at their galleries too. So that's nice. Give us another reason to go to Vegas.
Gallery Nucleus, by any chance?
You know what? I think that's right. Gallery Nucleus. Yeah, with Matt Kennedy.
And legalized prostitution,
among other things.
At least Frank, you can get a job.
Oh man. Well, there's we were talking before this thing started. There's so many things we could talk about. We could make multiple shows out of this thing tonight. But I really want to be able to talk about Lake Como. But before we talk about Como, we should talk about Big Wow, because that's really when the three of us. I mean, Steve, I had known you before that, of course, just from going to San Diego and bought art from you, and and you guys always had a great setup over there, and I always appreciated that. You've always done a unique thing, Steve, and it seems like you kind of circle yourself with people that you're comfortable with, and that you know what to expect out of them, even when they might be a little crazy like Frank every now and again, right? But because I look at the only time I ever met Enrico was at San Diego, and he was always at your booth, and again, and he's working with you on Lake Como, and I kind of, and you look at Tatiana, people who've been around you a lot, they've kind of kept these people as confidants in the work that you've done, and it's worked well. I mean, it's to your success, and both Big Wow and and through Big Wow comic art as well, and then I'm sure what you're doing in Lake Como as well.
The other one that you can't miss is Steve Wyatt.
Steve Wyatt. Yes, I should never forget to mention Steve Wyatt. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. So why don't we talk a little bit about, that Big Wow and how you ended up working with Steve on that, and then taking that to something bigger than just the show that he was running in San Jose.
Yeah. So the way that Steve originally did a lot of one-day shows, and then he had one 2-day show in Oakland, which was literally across the street from me, where I work as a lawyer. And he came to me after the show and said, "Would you be interested in working with me?" Because his budget was tighter. I had a little more money at the time. And so that evolved into what became SuperCon. And then the Oakland Convention Center decided, in their infinite wisdom, to rent out our space without telling us. And so that's when we moved to San Jose. And the people in San Jose were great that run the convention center there. And then we did SuperCon in the old tent for a couple years. And then that was not a great venue. And then we decided to take time off and then rebranded as Big Wow Comic Fest, because SuperCon had gotten to be a name that a lot of people were using, even though Steve used it first.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, that's when you came on. Frank came on officially, even though he'd been at the other shows. And then we brought in the others, Mark and Steve. So we've got, most of us here, except for Steve. And then, and you mentioned Tatiana and Rico, they're all around. And so when that got put out of business, thank you, Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It got me thinking about doing another show, because Big Wow was always creator focused comic book show with a lot of artists. We had a great guest list, a lot of cosplayers, a lot of comic book dealers and the like, but it got to be a little big to manage. And one of the things I've always been associated with is art and the artists. Part of how we got to know each other, Bill,
Mm-hmm.
because of comic art fans. And I've always wanted to do a show that's just art centric, art and artists, nothing else, no media, any of that other extraneous stuff. And I've been going to Lake Como for at least 25 years. And so I was there one time, started looking around to see what there might be, and found the Villa Erba, which is just a stunning location. I mean, just absolutely stunning. It's got an ancient villa that was built in the 1800s with frescoes right on the lake. And then they've got a brand new modern convention center right next door. Yep, that is Lake Como. And
that's the view.
And believe it or not, that is not a flattering view of Lake Como. That's late afternoon with a little haze, but it really is a stunning location. And I had been working and got to be friends with Arno, who's one of the owners of Pulp Comics in Paris. He was doing a Paris comic book show at the same time we were doing Big Wow, and we were exchanging notes back and forth. And I knew better than to do a European show without having a European in tow. And so I told Arno, I said, "Why don't you come on down to check out my idea for a show down here?" And he flew down, and it was foggy and cold in the morning. And he's looking, "Yeah, this is really pretty. This is kind of nice, but a little bit reserved." And then in the afternoon, the sun came out, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we need to do this show." And so our first show was 2018, and then 2019, and then third show got kicked over from 2020 to 21 to now is set for May 13th through the 15th of this year. So a little over a month away.
So those first two shows that were, well, it's just like any new business. I'm sure that you got to get people to know where you're at and what you're doing. But I knew from just from the photos you were showing me before you had the first show that it was going to be a very unique experience. I mean, wasn't it? I think you told me like a Bond movie scene that had been filmed there. So that the location is stunning, and and again, you're right. I probably didn't show the best photo.
The Casino Royale, the scene where James Bond is in a wheelchair after he got tortured by what's his name, Mads, and I think that's right. Lake Como is right next door, literally.
Well, that's next door to my apartment.
Oh yeah, okay.
The Villa Erba is where if it's either Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12.
Yeah.
Where the characters are meeting with Andy Garcia. That's at the Villa Erba.
Man. Well, here, I'm going to show some more photos of the inside where people are whining and dining. I see Albert's here, so I know anybody can attend if you're going to let Albert in the door. But he was probably an exhibitor that year, right?
Yeah, you can see it's Neil and Marilyn Adams, Albert. That's Vinny from Metropolis over Maryland, and then in the back,
that's Greg Kulo and Jim Demonakis.
Oh yeah, I didn't recognize him, but yet no, I see it now.
Yep.
But so yeah, so the venue is stunning. I mean, this is the where you do a lot of the after show events.
Actually, what we do is Friday night is there's a fully catered reception where the fans get to mingle with the artists. This year, we're going to do an art auction at the reception, open only to the people at the reception, and then Saturday and Sunday is the convention itself in the new convention center next door.
So it's in a different location than it was the first 2 years, as far as the convention part.
No, the ancient villa and the convention center are on the same property. They're probably 100 yards apart.
Right.
The ancient villa is one that, you wouldn't want thousands of people wandering through just because it really is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you see it, there's a lot of open grass. I know 3 of the 4. I don't know the 4th. So that's Jim Lee. Tarek is the one with the wine glass. Mark Rotz, who's an artist from Australia. And I'm not sure who they're talking to.
That bearded guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, so, what's interesting when you look at all the photos is it is a very casual and, environment where you actually get to hang out with the artist, unlike going to a regular con. I mean, it's very relaxing. It's a lot like, Steve Beck with Big Wow is always, that seems a lot like if anybody who stayed around for the Monday barbecue at the Vineyard, is that kind of relaxed environment. It seems like you've kind of carried that over here as part of the start of the show, and just in general, the feel that you want the attendees to walk away from with this is that it really is. What's
Friday,
that?
Friday is the opening that party, right?
Yep.
Right. And then that's where you're going to do the auction.
One of the things, a couple of the things with the show that I think are unique is, number one, we're going to cap attendance at 1,000 because, most of the big shows you're waiting in line forever. You don't have time with the artists. And so we wanted to make sure that it's a little more intimate space, which is why the ticket price is a little higher. The other thing that the artists have really liked is one of the ideas that Arno had was to put a chair on both sides of the table, because normally the artist is there drawing, sitting down like Frank is, and then we come in as fans and we're hovering over the top of them. So they want to talk, they've got to stop drawing, look up, and then go back to drawing. This way you're at the same level, talking pretty much like we are. So you get a chance to sit there and talk with the artist while they're creating the piece that you've commissioned them to do.
I still look up when they sit down.
Well, yeah, that's because you're short.
Hey, you're the same height.
Yeah, but he's not sitting behind the table. Not usually. Well, yeah, but so, and I was, well, I've been watching social media, and I saw a lot of the artists have done pre-commissions for people who are going to attend there. I saw Joseph Melchior had, he took some for, and I forget which artist it was for, about a month ago. Yeah. And so that's great though. I mean, I think that it's unlike a lot of shows where the creators are going to go and they really aren't going to get a lot of work done. The creators actually, at least from the first couple of years that I've seen, seem to produce a lot more work at your show than they normally would at a regular con, where they're probably tied up doing a lot of different things that aren't really related to, to hanging out with the fans and doing artwork there. So, I mean, would you say that's probably true as well?
I mean, it's a very relaxed show. So, and because of the limited ticket sales, it's like 1-to-10 ratio of creator to fans.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much all the fans who wants to get a sketch will get one. So I mean, that was the genius of Steve, to kind of make it limited and then just make sure it's just all pure fans.
The other thing that I've seen is artists, although they don't always admit it, tend to be a little competitive. And when you're in a room with Neil Adams and Jim Lee and Adam Hughes and Arthur Adams, it's hard to use your B game.
That's true. Yeah.
The artists, they tend to compete. They like to be the one that is turning out really great pieces. And the work that's come out of the show has been pretty amazing historically for the first two. Yeah, that's where the reception's held.
Right.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So speaking of the reception and the auction, what artwork is actually going to be in the auction this year, and how did you organize that? I mean, I remember we did some auctions with Big Wow in the past, but how are you handling this one?
We're still accumulating them at this point. Frank is doing a piece. He's going to channel his inner Serpieri to do a Druna piece that's going to be painted.
Yeah, so I just started on it. Here's the pencil. I'm gonna watercolor it, and then do the full Serpieri style.
Oh, wow.
So that's gonna be auctioned off at the show, at the opening reception.
Yeah, we're also playing with a couple jam piece ideas that hopefully come to fruition. Stuff that you've got some artists, one of which, at least from my perspective, would be a dream, would be to have Frank and Serpieri work on a piece together.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty special.
That butt's gonna be just absolutely out of the world.
So you're still getting the works in. So it's going to be all the artwork that's going to be auctioned off is going to be from the artists that are attending, and they'll probably be bringing it with them.
Right.
Wow, that's so see again, that's another nice exclusive perk to people who are. So when you say it's the people who are attending the reception, does anybody who's buying a ticket get to attend the reception as well, or is it more like a weekend ticket that gets them into the reception, or how does that work?
We have 3 different ticket levels. One's 1 day, one is 2 days, one is 2 days plus the reception.
Right.
The reception itself probably costs us well over $100 a head. The catering is nice, the venue is nice, but it's an expensive ticket for us, and sadly for the fans. But I think that the people that have gone to the reception, almost all of them have gone. They went to the first, went to the second, and the ones that have gone to the second have signed up again for the third, because it really is a chance to sit down and chat with people that normally you don't. Because if it's somebody like, say, Jim Lee, if you're at a con, his line's going to be 1.5 miles long. At the reception, you get a chance to chat with him a little bit. There'll be other people fighting, but it's not going to be hundreds of people like at a con.
Right. Yeah, I actually had a picture from his table, I think. I don't know if that's the line going to his table. Maybe it is, but
yes.
But it's certainly not like the first year we did Big Wow when Jim Lee was there and his line was several hundred people deep.
Yeah, so you can see the 2 chairs. You can sit down and watch the artist draw for you right in front of you, and just chat. So it's a very laid back show. Fun for both artists and the fan.
Yeah, and you can see the art display there was Albert, who is next to Jim. And it looks like, although it's hard to tell, that the guy in the front may have a commission from Liam Sharp. At least that looks like Liam's style on the Batman.
Yeah, yeah. It does look like Liam Sharp. Yeah, the guy with the backpack with the water bottle on the left. Yeah.
I think that's the same hall or the end of the hall. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Manzano.
Yeah, it's Frederick Manzano. And then Albert is the one in the gray T-shirt that's hidden. Probably his best look. And I'm not sure who the guy is talking to him.
So yeah, a lot of art collectors go there where they, buy art and trade art and all that. It's a very high-end art collector show.
There's Mark Mockin, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, that must have been from the 2019 show, because I remember in 2018 he brought more comics. And, while there'll be a couple people selling comics, it's generally just art.
Oh man, he has a Mobius up there. That's nice.
No, he's got some great stuff. And he'll be back this year too.
Yeah, I didn't bother looking at the wall, but yeah, he does have some pretty incredible art on the back wall there.
Right.
Dang. Well, he always has had a great collection. I mean, and stuff for sale on his site. So no, that doesn't surprise me. And Mark's somebody who I remember always being around you guys during San Diego as well. So it's nice to see that the same kind of people, those same people are coming back and supporting this show as well.
Well, Mark's based in Europe, so
right. No, so it's perfect for him.
Yeah.
Oh, and I saw I brought this one over as well with Bashara.
Yep.
It's nice.
Yeah, Bashar has been a really big supporter of the show.
Well, and he's got his own couple shows now too, right? I mean, he has the one in LA and he's in San Francisco now.
Yeah.
And you've gone to? Have you gone to all of those?
No, I went to the San Francisco one, which was fun. He needs to make it bigger.
Yeah.
The room was pretty tight, but it is really fun when you collect art to be around just scads of art, because even if you don't want to buy it, it's really cool to see stuff that you had no idea was going to be there that day.
Yeah, it's nuts. Oh no, I'm gonna bring a bunch of art, to sell at the show, or Steve is.
So Frank, what is not to change the subject too much, but since you're talking about you bringing art to the show, what's your philosophy on the art that you sell? Because I know that you keep a lot of the interior work. I mean, sell the covers and that sort of thing. But I've never asked you that question. I'm kind of curious what is your reasoning behind the pieces that you choose to sell and the ones you choose to keep?
Well, basically, if I need money, like to pay rent or taxes, that's when I.
or put in a solar panel system for your home, right?
The funny thing is, like, you don't see any interior art from me because, to be honest with you, originally I was just embarrassed to sell my art because I just saw all the flaws. So that's why I never sold any of my Liberty Meadows art. I still have all of them. I got like a stack this like 4 feet high. So originally I was just embarrassed. I didn't want it to sell bad art.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, it's just like, Marvel, and they're paying well. So I didn't really need the money. So I just didn't sell the art. And then it just kind of snowballed. And then after a while, it's like, all right, I'm a bit of a completist. I want to keep all the interior art, but I'll let the covers go because there's so many people asking for art. So, and then, I got Steve to help me sell the covers, but interior art, I have it all actually. So if you go to my basement, I got like stacks and shelves of all the interior art. So they're all complete issues.
So is that?
We will sell the complete issues, but we won't break them up.
All right. Well, that's good. So I was just gonna say. So is it kind of like a Walt Simonson thing? You're gonna take it all and go on a funeral pyre at someday, or it really is just more you'd like to keep them together? So if anybody's ever going to want to buy a page from it, they really need to buy the complete issue.
Yeah, I'm a whore. So like if the price is right, yeah, it's yours. It's just that, it's just I'm a bit of a completist. So I don't want to break up the issue. I mean, it's just I have a little bit of a mild OCD, I think.
And that's why you've got all the Liberty Meadows strips. You'd have to sell them all, or because you can't just sell one.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell it all. I mean, it's up for sale if anyone wants to buy it.
Anybody wants his Liberty Meadows, 5 years, 5 years worth of strips, just have them contact me.
Right.
Okay. Well, everybody heard it here first. If you want to own the whole entire strip, you can contact Steve. I should be showing your email address at some point, Steve.
Yeah, that's like about 1,800 strips.
Well, that's
the prices
I never knew that. I just kind of thought that they were personal enough that you just wanted to keep them and you didn't. But now that's kind of even better. The fact that you want to keep them together, so you'd rather sell them as complete versus anything else.
Yeah, right. He broke up one of his early issues and then has been asking me to try to find the pages to buy them back for him.
I'm kicking myself for that. Missing one page.
Dina Mauricio says, "Show me the money." There you go. But all right, so but that's cool. So you're going to be bringing a lot of art though, but clearly not any interiors. All kind of pinups and published covers, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, pinups and covers, and I'll be doing I've taken commission lists. Steve's been taking commission lists, and he's been just feeding it to me. And if I have time, I'll do some. I'll probably bring some sketch covers. Like.
Oh yeah, here, let me highlight that one. That's my favorite one so far.
Really?
Of the disgruntled Wonder Woman. I mean, the Hulk was funny, puny Banner. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I'm a Thor fan, so yeah, it's nice to see him disappointed there. Yeah. Mikhail just asked, did anyone finally satisfy Wonder Woman? No, sorry, Mikhail. Sorry to report, she is still unsatisfied.
I'm still writing.
So when you do these, do you have an end point, where you know what the final punchline is going to be, or do you just keep working it till you're done milking it?
Well, I mean, I'm not even milking that. It's just the jokes come to me, and then if it's funny enough, I'll just do it, and then eventually, I guess I have to find like a punchline to the whole running gag.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta figure that out. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be some sort of lesbian joke somewhere.
Well, one of the Wonder Woman covers that CGC one says that it was what did she say? I've slept with more women than you have, fanboy. That was a great one. So, I mean, every time I see stuff like that, it's like I wish I owned. I don't think I've ever owned a piece of your work, Frank. So I've got to correct that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you add more humor to Facebook than anybody else that I know on a regular basis, and so I appreciate that. And I'm sure all your fans do too.
Well, I mean, it's my background, Liberty Meadows background. I started off as a cartoonist, as a humor writer, So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I try to think of all the sketch covers as a one panel gag,
So you're going to use that as a kind of your springboard to finish Liberty Meadows, right, Frank?
Exactly. Yeah, I got my rights back from Sony. So Sony had Liberty Meadows for the longest time, and I got it back about at this point like 10 years ago. So I've just been sitting on it, and eventually I want to finish it, and then just come out with a big omnibus collection of all the strips. So I have to do about like 3 or 4 issues of Liberty Meadows to wrap up everything.
Mm-hmm.
So which I'm gonna do eventually soon, hopefully.
I don't know how you can fit it in your schedule.
If somebody wants to do some short videos featuring Liberty Meadows, if you ever get me the damn script.
Yeah, Steve wants to do like an animated Liberty Meadows show,
Yeah, I think it would go over well.
Yeah, I had the original Sony script that I wrote, and then Sony brought in a couple of new writers, and I think one guy wrote for the Care Bear movie or something like that, and they completely changed it. It was actually pretty funny. It was just weird. So I need to find the original Sony script and then tweak that up, kind of update it, and then shoot it off to Steve. And Steve wants to turn it into a cartoon, so I say, hey, go for it.
Yeah, I've got some friends that used to work at Pixar that have volunteered to help. So if somebody gets off their ass and finds the script,
I'm busy.
Yeah, we can tell.
So back Eric Laredo actually had a question. Any plans to have a more continental equivalent to Como? Or is Como enough for you, Steve?
John Wick, the Continental.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Where would you?
Issue? I mean, the issue becomes one of finances, because Como is not break even yet. Hopefully this year, if not this year, next, because we're getting closer. But the pandemic did us no favors, because we forfeited a ton of deposits that we had for the 2020 show. I've had some discussions with people about doing one in the US. Probably not, at least in the mainland, just because there's so many shows. And I think that part of the draw of Como is it's such a gorgeous location. It's one that people want to come to, and their significant others want to come.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got your spouse, and your spouse would think that they'd rather go in for a doctor's appointment than go to a comic book show. This is not that show, because a lot of the spouses show up, and it's like they're the ones that are getting the artists to come back each year because they want to go. So it's finding that. I mean, Frank and I have been playing with another show that's not ours. It's a friend of ours in Maui that does it. And we went to that show, the Maui Comic Con, for the first time in December. But previous to that, Frank and I went to Maui because it was one of the few places you could go during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner of the shop, Alika, was just a really great dude. He took the day off, showed us around the island, places that you normally wouldn't go to if you're just a tourist. And we just started talking about his show, and his model is he wanted to do a free Comic-Con for the people in Maui, and really passionate about it. And Frank and I were chatting, and it was like, we're behind you 100%. So we helped him out last year, and hopefully we'll keep going and bring in people. This year we brought in Liam Sharp and Frank, and then a couple guys, Jim Rugg and Ed Pisker. What was the guy from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Frank?
Ernie Reyes Jr.
Yeah. So those were the guests this year that people could come to and just hang out with. Next year we have some ideas of people, and then the hope is that as people realize it really is a place you can make a little bit of money, but also have a hell of a great time.
It's basically a paid vacation. I mean, because Maui is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. There's no bad looking place. I mean, everything is just so gorgeous, and and people are so friendly. Just there's so much stuff to do in Maui.
No, it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, as far as places to go, you got to make it interesting if you're going to do a show like that. I mean, we have enough shows like Fan Expo and and those sorts of cons around in the US. I mean, you want to have something that people are going to want to travel to, and if they can spend some extra days as part of the trip as a vacation, I mean, that's why I'm sure Lake Como is attractive to a lot of people. I would imagine anybody flying to see that show from the States, they're going to either spend a few days before the show or after the show. So I think that's good. It just gives them an extra incentive. And like you said, Frank, it's a business expense to get out there. So you might as well spend a few extra days as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's Maui in December is just absolutely stunning. I mean, the temperature is like in the 80s, right?
Yep.
And low 80s, high 70s. And it's just gorgeous, and there's so much stuff to do.
And Como in the springtime, I mean, Italy in the springtime, Como's about 3,000 feet. So you've got the azaleas and the rhododendrons just popping all over the lake. It really is magical. And then if you wanted to make a trip of it, Switzerland, you can get to Switzerland half-hour away.
Yeah, on the train. Yeah.
Milan is a half-hour train trip away. And then if you want to go farther, you can hit Florence and Rome.
Oh, yeah. Lake Como is just absolutely stunning. I think it's by far the most beautiful place I've ever been. I mean, and Hawaii is close second. But yeah, Lake Como is it's just when Steve, when I first went there, when Steve showed me Lake Como, I was just stunned. I'd never been a place so beautiful in my life before.
Yeah, one of the good Steve and Frank stories is I've always loved to travel. Frank used to hate to travel. And so I'd always be dragging him around, and he's finding excuses not to go. And then as we've traveled more and more and more during the pandemic, he's the one calling me up, goes, dude, we need to go somewhere. Now he's the one pushing me to travel. So
right. Maryland's boring.
Now, Frank, you've got that Sherlock Holmes thing going on too. So you do a bit of traveling for that.
Yeah, actually, I just got hired by HarperCollins to do illustrate a Sherlock Holmes novel, kind of like that Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein.
Oh wow!
The author is Bonnie McBird, who is an absolutely fantastic writer. So these are some of the pieces that I've done. It's all the Franklin Booth style,
What size paper are you working on there?
This is 19 by 24.
Dang.
And so I've done,
Oh man.
So they're all like, so I'm just Franklin Boothing the hell out of these illustrations. So I need to finish this by this weekend, you know. So
That's going to be amazing.
So I'm having fun. You know, I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan, so I'm having fun doing those. And I think the book will be out, I think, in the late fall. So,
All right.
Yeah, it's HarperCollins. The title of the book is Whose Child Is This? It's a Sherlock Holmes, a new Sherlock Holmes adventure by Bonnie McBird. And I think you can pre-order it now. I'm going to post it in my Facebook eventually down the road.
But yeah, I always remember the photographs when you guys do those parties because you're in a tux with a bow tie.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a picture before the show because I was going to use that 007 image with Steve and then you,
Right.
and kind of put it on and update the thumbnail for the show, but I couldn't find a picture of you in a tux, Frank.
Yeah, we went to that 007 thing, and then I guess my thing was like eyes wide shut kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You wish.
Ay. So I mean, there was a question about do you already have the dates planned for next year so people can kind of pencil it in? I mean, I'm sure you probably don't, but maybe you do if you're in a contract. Do you have like next year or next 2 years kind of already planned out for Como?
No, but the general idea is to do it mid-May each year. They do a big Concours d'Elegance in Lake Como that's normally either right before or right after our show. You know, so if you're into cars, you can get a
Sure.
twofer if you want to do cars and art. But so figure it's going to be mid-May, but we should know by next month when the show is, because Arno and I have been talking about potentially announcing a couple of the guests, the big headliner guests, on the Sunday of the show, and then the date as well.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that I've been doing that Comic Art Live show since the pandemic, and I'm always hoping to keep it the weekend before Memorial Weekend. So that way, let's not cross our dates, and then we'll be okay. But I would always defer to you first. Because mine's virtual. I can move my date to any weekend I want. But yeah, always keep me in mind on that one because I'm going to try to shoot for that one going forward, since that was our first one was in 2020. But
you could live stream from Como.
Yeah, well, Tatiana and I talked about that on Saturday, I guess late in your show, but early morning here, we'll probably be doing some kind of a live stream. She said we're going to try anyway. If the internet connection is good within the hall, she said that we're going to, she'll do a walkthrough and just kind of show off a few things, maybe stop and interview both of you at some point. But yeah, I thought it would be fun to give everybody a taste of what it's like, while it's going on. And that'd be great if we actually had the dates for next year, because then we could really be, letting people know when they should start planning for the 2023 show.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then you have no excuse.
Yeah. Well, I can always come up with an excuse, but no, I really do want to go. Of course, I'd love to go. And, there's so many collectors in Europe that, I've emailed with for years that I've never gotten the opportunity to meet. And so I think getting out there for a show like that would be fun, and it'd be opportunity for me to be people that I've been chatting with at that point for 20 years. I mean, CAF will be 20 years old next February.
That's
So
crazy.
I know exactly. So I've been doing this a long time, and it's funny like that. I mean, I've been emailing with people for so many years, and until we started doing these live streams, I'd never met so many people face to face, just because we've finally had the opportunity to meet virtually. But yeah, I would love to get over to Europe. So I will put 2023 on my schedule as well, if if at all possible.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've found that's really cool, but particularly with CAF, is you do meet people, as you said, virtually, and the chance of, because Frank and I are lucky enough to be able to travel a lot, that it really is cool to be able to put the face to the name that you've done. So pretty much every place we've gone, we've met different guys in London, Paris. Some of the collectors that we had sold art to have become really good friends. Fred Moneypenny in Paris. He'll know who that is.
Right content.
Yep.
No, but it's true. I mean, yeah, as bad as the pandemic's been, it's probably been one of the more enjoyable times for me because I have gotten to meet a lot of people whom I've only just conversed with by email or phone or whatnot. So, but now it's like after 2 years of going through this, I'm ready to get the hell out and get out to some shows and actually meet people in person. So yeah, Como would be a great place to go. If even if Maureen doesn't want to go, she can stay home, and you know.
She'll want to go as much or more than you. Trust me.
I will. I'm going to start working on her. What's that?
Just get out of Ohio in general.
No, I know. Well, like I said, we're moving. I'm moving to a place about an hour north of Orlando, so it's pretty rural. But you know, again, it's not Ohio, so you know, but it's what Maureen really wanted. It's like 5 acres, so she's gonna plant. She's gonna enjoy not working as a slave to me, like she has for the last 25 years. So it's kind of like the beginning of her retirement in a certain way. So if I'm doing that for her, she should be able to go to Como with me.
Nice.
And then you'll have to go to Como with her every year thereafter.
Hey, I'm up for it. But you know, that's funny because we're actually thinking of doing something around CAF's anniversary. You know, now that I'll be down there, Orlando. But we were thinking the same kind of thing. Orlando's a destination. You know, people could go to a one-day show, you know, and leave their family at the parks or something like that, and to do a one-day show centered around comic art, and then make a vacation out of that for their family. Because you know, again, around February 1st is CAF's anniversary. So yeah, I mean, I haven't done a physical con since I did Big Wow with you, but we were thinking of doing something. I wouldn't necessarily call it a con, but some kind of a get together that's centered around CAF's anniversary. But you know, hopefully, you know, something that could involve part of a vacation. I just think it would work out. It'd be fun. And there's a lot of collectors down in Florida too, and people who probably wouldn't mind getting out of the cold temps to spend some time with some other collectors, at least for a day, and some time at the parks. So
yeah. If you need any help, let me know.
I will, Steve. Well, when you were talking, as soon as you said Hawaii, I knew you were out on that side, that kind of conversation. But yeah, no, I would. I'd love to talk to you about it because I think it'd be, you know, it's a good thing. And for me, the one thing that you know, I've spent 20 years in the hobby, you know, or more, and I never had a get together at my house. And I was like, you know what, this is something that this has to change. So when we go down to Florida, I told Maureen, it's like we're going to have at least 3 get-togethers a year with local collectors, but I'd like to do one bigger event each year, just to kind of, you know, keep us all tied into the hobby and giving people a fun thing to do, and again, just keeping it collector focused versus making it into any kind of a big con with comic books and other things that of course we all enjoy. So here's a good question for you both. How did you guys start working together? I mean, Frank, were you looking for a rep? Or, you know, Steve, were you looking for, you know, did you want to be a rep? I mean, how in the heck did you guys even start working together in the first place?
I mean,
artist and attorney. I mean, it's like, it's not a match made in heaven, I would think, but explain it to me.
Pimp Daddy.
Yeah, Jim Silk. Jim Silk, you know, the artist.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
all those Betty Page stuff. Actually, I really don't remember. I mean, all I remember is like I was setting up, and then you came over and you kind of helped me set up, and we just kind of from there we just kind of like hit it off. This was like, I guess like 98, yeah, right, yeah, 1998, and then and then you told me that Jim Silk kind of recommended me to you, and with University Square, and then from there it just kind of snowballed, right?
Yeah, Jim gave me a copy of University Squared, and I mean, I've known Jim for ages. He's amazing. And so he handed me University Squared, and he goes, "You need to meet this guy." And I think it's because he knew my sense of humor, which is very much Frank's humor, if you can't tell it from our banter. Right. And so I read it, laughed out loud. And then in San Diego, Frank happened to be there. We met. We went out to dinner at some Spanish restaurant, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it has that brick kind of like dome kind of archway, right?
And so we just, I mean, if you hang out with us, you'll see our sense of humor is, as people say,
if you hang out with us, you're going to get canceled.
And so we just met, hit it off, and then through the years, just kind of ran into each other at shows and stuff. Got to be better and better friends, and then, you know, Frank was starting to sell stuff, and I said, "Fine, I'll help sell it if you want." And it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, my crystal meth habit was just going out of control, so I had to sell more stuff, and Steve was selling stuff, and you know, it's great.
It's great. Then I get him out of jail, and
Exactly,
then
my
sell more
lawyer.
for him, and then get him back in jail. And
Exactly, to sober up, you know, get cleaned up. You know, it's a vicious cycle, but fun.
Yeah. Well, Frank, you've been stirring the pot for years and years. All the outrage out there. You need a lawyer in your corner just because you never know whose feathers you're going to ruffle the wrong way in the hobby.
Apparently, everyone.
so Bill, do you remember the Captain America piece? Big Wow days?
You know, I don't, but I'm sure if you tell me, I'm going to remember. But yeah, maybe you can't tell me.
Oh no, Frank did a piece. We used to do the inking panel at Big Wow, where we'd get somebody does a blue line pencils, and we have different people ink it. And we had somebody that had a really nice Jack Kirby pencil, and so Frank inked it, and he's got a nude woman up in the corner with a gun blowing on it, like, you know, very suggestive. And then between his legs as he's running, it's "America Fuck Yeah" from the puppet, whatever the.
Right.
Okay, I do remember this now.
Right.
Yep.
And so he posted it. It was right before the Captain America movie came out. And so we used that image on the Big Wow site to advertise, you know, art's going to be available because the piece was auctioned off. And Frank got a call from Marvel threatening to fire him. I got a call from Marvel's lawyer saying if I didn't take it down right away, I would be faced with legal challenges as well. So yeah, Frank does tend to create controversy.
I don't mean to. It just happens. You know, trouble follows me around. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, I have learned that both Marvel and DC's legal departments spend a lot of time online looking for controversial images of their trademark characters, because I've had, you know, they don't contact the site owner. They contact the people who host my equipment and let them know that that if I don't remove whatever the offensive item is, that they are instructed to turn my servers off. So, you know, and it happens at least once a year, you know, and it's things that I don't know about typically, or I haven't seen, or could be something that's been on the site for 6 months, but yeah, it happens. So they're always looking at out for their own IP, and things they hate the most are when artists are actually, they don't mind you guys selling prints at shows, but put it online and try to sell a print from anything, then that's usually when they get upset.
Right.
So I mean, we probably knew that, but you know, I've had a few reps and stuff on CAF that have shown off some like remarked items and whatnot, and literally within days, I'll get contacted by, you know, one of the Big Two's attorneys, letting them I won't be, you know, my post does. So I act quick. I get that art off the site because they give you like a week to take care of things, or you're in trouble.
Yeah, remark could be fine though, because that's original art.
Right? Yeah, but it's like if the print it's done on is you know, is mass produced, they frown upon on that. So it's, even if it's remarked, they don't care. So
going back, remember that we did that the inking panel at SuperCon, Big Wow, whatever. And remember the Bernie Wrightson one, the Frankenstein?
Yeah.
I found it. So I found it. So I'm gonna finish it, and hopefully that I will. I'm gonna see if I can finish it by Como. Probably unlikely, but I will finish it, and then, you know, and basically post it somewhere, you know.
Big Wow Facebook page.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, what was it like in those couple of years where you couldn't do anything after Big Wow? I mean, were you plotting and planning and thinking about what you were going to do? Because we weren't allowed to. Well, none of you and Steve in particular couldn't do any shows after the sale of Big Wow. But did you know, how soon was the Como idea to percolate that, you know, you wanted to do it? I mean, and did you have the itch immediately? Because I'll tell you what, that first year after Big Wow, I was kind of happy to have 1 year off, because it was always a lot of work putting that show together.
Right. That a couple things came up. Is number one, how it went down left a sour taste
Mm-hmm.
because basically being forced out of a show was not a fun way to end it.
Right.
As we all knew. Um, and I think I agree with you that Big Wow grew to the point where it was tough for the five of us to put that show on without additional help. And so then it becomes an additional layer where you got to start hiring general managers and, the people to actually work the show. So I don't know that I'd want to do a show that big again, because I think at the peak we were about 10,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the idea to me that just percolated is, can I do a smaller show and what would be the focus of that show? And so I always come back to art and artists because that was the passion that I had. And then when I went, because like I said, I've been going to Como for 25 years. And so when I found the Villa Erba, it just kind of, boom, everything clicked because it's, it's a way to treat comic art as real art. Europe is kind of funky because, jazz over here was never well respected. Over there, it was a musical art form that was revered. If you ever go to a comic book store, particularly in Paris, it's a totally different thing. Their books are hardcovers, they're released as albums. They don't do, at least for European comics, the floppies. They treat it much more as literature. And so being able to take it in a place, to do the show in a place where the art form is respected and the location really amplifies what the art that's being created looks like. Or, it's just, you get the top tier art in a top tier location with top tier artists, Frank excluded. It's just kind of what has evolved from Big Wow, because Big Wow was a much bigger version of this and much more scattered because we had so many different interests with cosplay and media and comics and collectibles and all that kind of stuff. Pretty much all that's gone except for the artists, which makes it easier for us, but it's also the stuff that I really love.
Right. Well, you don't have to hire a general manager when you're just dealing with artists and whatnot, at least at this point, because that's the stuff that you want to do. You want to be hanging, that's the connections that you make. That's, Liam was always out at Big Wow. I mean, a lot of the artists that go to Como are the same ones that were going to Big Wow or that I've seen around, your table for years. So, again, it's about keeping these people who you can count on to be a part of these shows as work to your success, even having Frank there on a regular basis.
Right.
And it has. I mean, one of the best things, though, about the Como shows is getting to meet some of the European artists. And then, Juanjo Garnido is one of my best friends now. He's just an amazing guy. And then you meet, Alex Alice, Matthew Lafray, Frank Pay, Nico Karamadis, all these guys that had been out to Big Wow when the first intro, but then when they come to Como, they get to bring in some of their friends, introduce friends. Last year we did a big Spanish artists kind of get together. I guess 2019 we did. 2018 was much more French centric. This year we'll have a number of Italians. We've got Manara, Serpieri, Liberatore, Cavanzo, Camolo, Pacelli, Mirka Andolfo, all Italians. And so it's a really great way to get exposed to new talent. And man, there's a lot of great talent out there.
Oh yeah, I mean those European artists are just absolutely just mind blowing. I mean the stuff they're producing I'm just like, wow. I mean,
right, and we never have that good fortune of having hardly any of those artists come to the States. So just another unique opportunity. Knights of Old asked, does Bilal go to the show?
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's actually one of my dreams, because I got to see the show that they put on at the Louvre of his work.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind-blowing. I would love to meet him. He's one I've not met, and I would definitely love to meet, and I'd love to get to Como if we can ever swing it.
So what's out of curiosity, the housing like? I mean, are there condos to rent nearby? Are there hotels nearby? I mean, what do people usually? Where do they stay?
There are a bunch of boutique hotels, and about like a quarter mile from the actual convention center is the Sheraton.
Oh,
So it's very walkable. So Steve put me in that boutique hotel. I forgot the name of it.
Hotel Regina Olga.
But right. Beautiful hotel. No AC.
So our little snowflake had to go to the Sheraton for AC, but
No, that was Adam. That was Adam. Neil Adams.
right. Right.
Hey, if Neil Adams needs AC, he gets AC.
Yeah. No, but yeah, that hotel is absolutely stunning, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's right by the water. You know, you go to the cafe, the sitting area, you know, the main floor. You go out into the back, whatever, and then it just opens up into the water, and it's just a beautiful place to just have your meals and all that.
And there are a lot of Airbnbs.
Mm-hmm.
I was just conversing with one guy today who was asking about hotels, and you know, sadly, the Sheraton, because of the brand, is a little pricier than the other hotels around. And the Hotel Regina Olga has been undergoing a 2 or 3 year complete remodel.
Oh,
It'll be mind blowing when it's done. But so we've lost one hotel that we normally use. There's still more than enough around there. There's another Hilton, and then Como town, the town of Como, is probably 4 or 5 miles away, and there's all kinds of hotels there. But Airbnbs, apparently, there's a ton of them around.
right. And then you can just hop on the boat and go anywhere you want. You know, everything is like about 20 minutes away. All you need, there's you're in Leno. Your house is in Leno, right?
Yeah.
And there's what's that? Bologna, but Bellagio. Bellagio is just right up the I guess toward Switzerland area, and that's only like about 30 minutes, right? Is it 30 minutes?
I'm never going to have you as a navigator. Bellagio is not next to Switzerland. It's probably one of the farther away towns there. But yeah, but the way that Lake Como is set up is kind of an upside down Y. And you've got Como town as the end of one of the Ys. Lecco as the other one. I don't know what it is. And then right where the Y meets is where Bellagio is. We're down by Como town at the top or the bottom of the Y. And Chernobyl, which is where the con is actually in, is kind of the affluent suburb of Como.
Right. Where does George Clooney live?
He lives about 10 or 15 minutes upwards if you're going towards Leno.
Okay. Right. Yeah, it's just absolutely stunning. And there's a lot of boutique hotels, so room shouldn't be a problem. And I know that people said it's kind of pricey, but if you add everything up, it's actually cheaper to go to Lake Como than San Diego Comic-Con. If you add everything up, yeah.
Huh.
Well,
more reason.
You know, I've just been dealing with the hotels. The at least the con rate for the hotel is $350 to $400 with taxes now per night. You know, the ticket, I don't know what the regular tickets are, but the exhibitor tickets are almost $500 for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so hotels would not be that expensive in Como. Our ticket, including the reception, would probably be comparable to San Diego. So, you know, and then you get Como. And, you know, the one thing that we haven't mentioned is the food. Oh, my God.
Right. There were many banquet shots that I could have shown. I only grabbed a couple, but I think I showed a couple of them before. But yeah, I mean, you guys have you put on a good spread there. But I imagine the restaurants and the places you can dine, you know, within the area just have to be pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I know both Mike Mignola and Dave McKean were there, and they were showing off pictures of the food they had. So they were quite happy.
They were posting to their Snapchats and Facebook profiles their dinners.
Yep. Very bougie Chef Boyardee stuff.
Yeah.
Only in Lake Como. So, well, that's, yeah, I'm pretty much convinced. if I can swing it, I'll definitely go out in 2023.
Right.
So I'm just kind of looking through a couple things here, but so before Steve, I wanted to talk about you as a collector too, but Frank, since you're here, I mean, why don't you've just shown us the work that you're doing for the Sherlock Holmes book. What else are you working on currently that you can talk about?
Okay, so I'm really late with my Death Dealer painting. So this is for my editor, Death Dealer editor, Denton. Sorry that I'm not answering your email, but I've been working on it. So this is my third crack at the Death Dealer painting. So it'll be done. It'll be done, and I'll have it to you hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so. So yeah, I didn't mean to ignore your email. I've been getting it, so don't worry. I'm working on it.
What's that going to be used for?
Hopefully for Death Dealer.
Well,
They just released a Death Dealer comic.
All right, a comic. I wasn't sure if it was a comic or a book that might be being published, but some kind of a paperback cover or something.
Yeah, as an aside, to kind of tie everything together, the Death Dealer the Death Dealer paperbacks were written by Jim Silk.
Oh, very cool.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He did 4 of them.
Nice. So Denton and Sarah Frazetta. I'm working on it. Sorry that it's late, but you'll get it.
Are you holding up publication on a book because of that?
It's not my first rodeo, so
Not a Frank project if it's not delayed.
I mean, it's definitely, it won't be for issue number 1, so it might be for
Right.
issue number 2, so that's fine. And,
Issue 22, you said?
It's what?
Issue 22, you said?
Yeah, exactly. And working on, I just need to finish ink this, and this was the prelim. And actually, I need to ink it and send it to the collector. So
it was pre-sold.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, on the big wow. So I've been kind of like tweaking it, tightening up the drawing and all that. So that's my problem. I sketch something and then I just go and start tightening it up, and then once I'm happy, then I start inking it. So it's again my OCD,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what we've done is I created a group on Facebook, the Big Wow Art group. And so what we've been doing for probably about a year now is Frank will bring out some of his old sketches. We'll auction them off. If you want, Frank will ink them for you for an additional cost. And it's been wildly successful.
Right.
And so, it's been fun. So if you like Frank's stuff, and periodically we have other people pop in. I've had Adam and Arthur Adams pop in occasionally with stuff for sale, but it's primarily Frank's. But we offer limited books, prints, art.
It's gonna go on sale tonight, or Steve's gonna post it, tonight at the group.
Oh man, somebody's going to be lucky to get that one. But yeah, no, I followed the group as well. I mean, I think that's worked out really great for you guys. And Frank, I'll be honest, you were kind of an inspiration for me at the beginning of COVID, because I watched you do a couple of online sales with a comic shop, I believe, where you're drawing, but you had pre-done a few, and you were kind of showing them off and selling them in the chat, and that was early on in COVID. I felt like somewhere around April, 2020, I saw you doing that, and that when I started thinking about what I was going to do with my virtual con, and I saw you do that, I was like, well, we should be able to sell comic art through live platforms, and whether it's a con or it's a single artist that you're doing an experience with, where you get to interview the artist but also sell art for them, and but it was all because of you. I think I saw you do that a couple times, and I was like, dang, I mean, you're making it look easy, and you did great at those.
Yeah. I think that was with Domayan, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Actually, see that round thing behind me? That's I'm drawing the drum for John Domayan. And he's been waiting for it for about 2
Waiting
years.
for it.
There's no deadline on that one though, right?
Well, he's giving me a deadline, but
He's blown it.
again, so for Don't Mind, I'm gonna get it done. Don't worry. I'll make sure it goes into your grave when you die.
Just kind of this theme with Frank and deadlines.
He's a busy man.
Exactly.
But it really was. I mean, I saw that and I used you as a reference when I said, even because we were talking with a couple other dealers and, I was like, this really works. And Frank did it. They did a great job. We should be able to do something similar. So really that was kind of once I saw that, I knew it could work. And I think we sold over $2 million in art through this channel just in the last year, just by doing similar shows, right? And
million?
honest to God, I mean, I've sold. I think I'm at 2.6 million right now, and I know the virtual cons, Comic Art Live, the last two, the one in May and then we had it again in November. Those were
you're like wrapping cocaine with the art.
I think we do even more if we sold that much, but no, it's just it just proves that there's a lot of different ways to do what we've been doing for so long in person, and some of those experiences are fun. I think getting the opportunity to hang out and chat with a creator and then buy artwork from them through a chat like this, it's more intimate than having a crowd around 20 guys at a table trying to look through their portfolio and whatnot, and they get to ask questions and hang out and buy art too, and it's so it's worked out. And some of the people that I've partnered with are handling like the shipping and taking the funds. So literally, like, the artist is shipping the art to that third party. I'll do an interview with the artist now, and the third party collects the money and sends the art out like the following Monday if I do it on a Saturday. So it's worked out really good. But again, it's all because of you, Frank. If I hadn't seen you do that, I don't think I would have ever tried anything like that. But hey, it's working good. Yeah. But that's why, it's really been really fun for me, which is why I wanted to think about doing other, like, an in-person show one day. I just want to kind of get back into it. I miss the time that we had together on Big Wow, because it was a lot of fun, and it was cool bouncing ideas off other people and trying to figure better ways to do the things that, that we were struggling through to figure out the right ways for them. So,
Right.
Yeah, the barbecue was the best.
it was. I always say, Steve, you put on the best shows for so many reasons, but the barbecue at the end of the show is, again, you just treated everybody differently. I mean, most shows break up and everybody goes home, but you made it worthwhile to hang out an extra day. And Maureen and I did, we went to Carmel like the day after the barbecue, spent a couple days there, and so we always try to make a trip out of it. You just gave us a reason to make a vacation out of all the work that went into it. It was fun.
Yes, because what's great about every show that Steve does is basically there's always, it doesn't feel like a show. It feels more like a party, like a gathering of friends and just hanging out and all that, food and wine and the whole nine yard. So yeah, so I think that's Steve's trademark, to get people together and just party.
What life's all about. Hang out with.
Hey, Frank, Comics Reporter wants to know if you speak Italian.
Fangu.
It's as good as it gets.
No,
man.
Reporter, that's why we have you coming to Como, so you can help us with that.
Oh man,
I just saw him at Bashara's show. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So we're going to Naples next week for Naples Comic-Con. So me and Steve, and so we'll be there for a week, right? Well, Steve's going to be there longer, but I'm only going to be there for a week. So we're going to go to Rome and then take the train down to Naples. So hoping it's going to be fun meeting all my Italian Naples fans. And then two weeks late, yeah, exactly, 2 of them. Deuce. And then 2 weeks later, I come home and then do the fly back to Italy for Lake Como. But you're gonna stay there for all 5 weeks, right?
Yep.
Lucky bastard.
My clients are freaking out already.
See, I thought when we were talking, 5 or 6 years ago, that you were kind of on a short path to retirement from doing the legal work, but no.
I'm part-time, but part of the thing is I knew that I was going to be taking off 5 weeks for Italy, and then I'm going to take off a week for Comic-Con to go to San Diego, maybe even more than a week. Frank
Nice.
and I have been talking about potentially going to Singapore, going to Mexico, Australia, but that's probably going to be next March. At least that's what I'm talking to Royd about.
So we're definitely doing Singapore and Mexico City. Probably. Australia is.
That'll be next year.
Yeah, next year. I mean, the reason why Steve didn't take early retirement was he went through a midlife crisis.
And he decided to put on a show in Lake Como that cost a crap ton of money.
So he started a brand new show in Como, bought a house in Como, and then got a Aston Martin.
You did not.
I did.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah, Aston Martin.
Yeah, you've got to work for another 5 or 6 years, part time or not.
That's why he didn't retire. He had to pay for all those.
Oh, but I'm sure it's worth it driving around in an Aston Martin, and the art collection you got too. It's worth it. But yeah, you might have to work a few more years. But so you just answered. I know somebody earlier asked if you guys were going back to Singapore. So it's partially confirmed. It's almost confirmed you're going back.
Yeah, I got all these artwork that I need to hand deliver to all the collectors at Singapore. So I really do need to go to Singapore. So Steve and I were trying to coordinate what's the best time. It doesn't have to be part of the coincide with like a Singapore show. Just need to find a time where Steve and I can actually take off time and go there, have a big kind of like a like an impromptu like collectors meeting. Just basically hand out art. All the people who bought art from me that I haven't mailed out. So. It gives me and Steve an excuse to go to Singapore.
I was just gonna say it's a great excuse to make a trip. You should just do that all the time. The Australia one, just sell a bunch of art to Royd and whoever else down there, and then you've got the perfect excuse to go down there and have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Singapore is actually an amazing country. It's really clean. The food's amazing. The people are amazing. The collectors there. All right, we like that.
Yeah, it was Mark that asked the question earlier.
Yeah, Singapore is absolutely stunning. The first time I went, I didn't know what to expect, and because I'd never been to that part of the world, and I was just really blown away by just how clean it was, how beautiful it was, and people are just so friendly, and and the food is just love it. I'm a big seafood guy, so I love Singapore food.
Yep.
Well, I've never been, so I'm jealous. So that is a place I've always wanted to go.
We're gonna start dragging you places, Bill.
I got to get out more, I'll tell you. But that's why I wanted to get out of here. I felt like I've been in a rut living in Ohio. I mean, and probably most people who live in Ohio probably feel that way. But I've just needed to get the heck out of here for so long, and it was needed. I remember I had that golf course, so I sold that this year, so I got that off of that monkey off my back, and that's why I decided I got to get out of here and just change my lifestyle. That's why I want to, I literally, the first time I had an artist get together, or collector get together here at the house was 2 weeks ago. And that was only because they were passing through. So I've been here for 20 years and I never tried to host, anything like that. And so everything has to change, but I needed a change of location is what I needed to kind of break that. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do a little bit more traveling.
I mean, you grew out your hair and then, baby steps,
Yeah. I just got a haircut. Yeah, it was about 4 inches longer. I definitely had the COVID hair going there for a while, but I knew when I get down to Florida, I'll probably have to cut it again because I'm not going to be able to handle hanging out in all that humidity. But yeah, no, I've been living that rock star lifestyle. I mean, I don't have to report to anybody. I haven't had a regular job since 1997. So I can look as awful as I want and nobody will care.
What were you doing in 97?
I was working for a publisher in Cleveland, believe it or not. So I was like their head of IT. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I did all their web development and managed a team of programmers to put their magazines and publications online. And that was really, and I kind of took what I learned there, building communities around these magazines. And that's how I used that kind of format for what I started with CAF, really. And yeah. but I don't miss it though.
Insane.
Yeah, you'll learn as you start doing the get-togethers. They grow exponentially. I think the last one I had here was probably, at least a pre-con party, about 150 people. Yeah.
I don't know if I can handle that.
You fit 150 people in your house?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Where do they park their cars? Did you have to get a valet?
We did shuttles from BART, the subway.
All
And
right.
luckily, as you know, I've got Dana to do my barbecue stuff, the same guy that did the Big Wow barbecue. So I kind of cheat by bringing in the big stars when it comes to cooking.
Well,
I
that's pretty
can't
nice.
imagine 150 people fitting in your house. I mean, you got a really nice house, but 150 people, that's
Well, they come in and out, but
right.
Right. Well, the place I bought down in Florida has has like a great room that's about 35 by 60. It's
Wow.
it's almost like I don't want to say like a ski lodge, because it's got a stone fireplace that's open on both sides up the middle of the place. So I bought it for that reason. I'm like, I want to have a place where I can entertain, where I can have 40 or 50 people over, and I won't feel crowded. So I'm trying to break out of my shell. You guys remember me back in the day? I wouldn't talk to anybody. I just came down there and did my job and got the hell out. But yeah,
Yeah, there goes Andy Dick. He's a dick.
that's right. Oh man. Yeah, there were lots of different people that I look like, but yeah, no. At any rate, here's a good question from Knights of Old about going to Como. How do attendees keep their purchases safe if they're sightseeing after the show? I mean, you probably just carry it with you, right? Tuck it under your arm and take it wherever you're going.
In your hotel, I mean, there should be a safe in your hotel, right? Or
I would think that people at the hotel could, if it was oversized stuff, that they could put it in some kind of secure place for people who are.
Or sometimes you can leave it at the show. I know that the building, they lock up the building, and there's like a
security there overnight, so that's possible. The other thing that you could do is the hotel, but if there's other collectors, but yeah, you don't want to be carrying the stuff as you go up, take the ferry up to Bellagio, but the trunk of your car, don't leave it in the front seat, but put it in the trunk or wherever. I mean, it's the same going to any show.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to carry it around while you're buying it, and then when you go back wherever you're staying, that's where you're going to leave it. So
right.
That's true. Yeah, Eric says you need a big safe for Frank's oversized boards.
You fold them in half.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't roll them up, that's for sure.
No, actually, I roll up my art. That's how I bring it, because they're so big,
Oh, all right. Well, I guess I was thinking of the painted pieces, but sure.
Right.
Well, if they're not on a board, or if they're not on a wood frame, paintings are easy. I used to do that all the time when I'd have San Julian stuff.
Yeah, San Julian would roll up his canvases and then into a giant tube and bring it, and it was fantastic. Every time he pulls it out, it's like Christmas. All of us would just gather around just to see all the paintings that he brought. So
yeah, we went to his studio and he just had piles of stuff around the house. Man, it was amazing. He's a cool dudes too.
It was insane. Yeah, like pile, like just literally just canvases. I mean, and without the wooden frame, so they're just just the cloth canvases just stacked up. Just hundreds of them. It was just insane.
Sounds like your stack of Liberty Meadows.
Yeah, exactly. Except mine sucks and San Julian's doesn't.
So, Frank, where's all your University Squared art?
I sense a story here.
Yeah. So Steve's been asking me for a while, where's University Square art, because like there are buyers wanting them, and I did sell some of them while I was still in college, actually, to make rent and all that. So I kept putting Steve off and off, kind of not giving him any like definite answer, and eventually I just came out clean and said I threw them all away. Because I hated the art, so I just threw it away.
I wanted to kick his ass.
I was gonna say, either you wanted to kill him or you wanted to cry.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. So yeah.
Did you really, Frank? You really threw it away?
Yeah.
Oh man, no,
You
I'm
have
just,
no idea how much art I destroy. I just like if I don't like it, I just get so angry. I just like tear it up. You know.
I mean, I've got friends who have rough prelims for me for you, and they're happy to be able to have that because they can't afford the finished piece or whatnot. So you shouldn't. I mean, well, you should be free to do whatever you want with your art, but
Well, so Steven kind of like talking me off the cliff and say, just save it, and then we'll just sell it on Big Wow. You know,
mhm,
for people who can't afford your big ticketed item. But it's still like pulling teeth because I look at it and I see all the mistakes and I'm like, I don't want to sell this. I don't want this out in the wild. I want to destroy it. You know, but Steve won't let me. Steve's like, think about the house you're gonna buy in Vegas, and he's trying to get me to buy a house in Hawaii too with them down the road. And I haven't hit that midlife crisis yet. The whole Aston Martin phase. Uh,
right. But it is kind of interesting. You're working on that debt deal. You said it's the third iteration, and you're working on the same board. So that's a very Frazetta type of approach.
oh, God,
By
yeah,
just destroying and reworking until you're happy with what you got.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, like, I guess I'm going whole full method, like for.
You are. You really are. But you could have done that, with those other pieces that you tore up. You just keep reworking it until you get it right.
Yeah, the thing is, it's just that slight little things that so I would just like paint over it and then do it again, until it's just, I need help.
You need to
But
do like you do it on different boards each time, and then I can sell the unfinished ones.
No, I mean, they look like shit. I don't want that shitty art. There goes Frank Cho's shitty art. On the market again. I don't want that.
Is there any other kind?
That is true. That is true. It's true.
I mean, what do you do when you're working on a sketch cover and you're not happy? You got to clean it up and start over. You can't just throw it out. Or have you thrown some out in the
I
past?
have thrown them all out.
See, yep. All right. I can tell that's the truth by the way, the look on Steve's face there.
I mean, there's videos of me burning it in my fire pit.
It's where you hear screams from around the world. No.
No,
Right.
it's very cleansing. It's very
So
satisfying.
relax.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you guys you do gotta end up living closer to one another, Steve, because then you could just run over and grab it before he tears it up or burns it and end it right there. Because it's true though. I really, Frank, I mean, I know I get it that, but I know like Steve says, it's not just about the money. People would love to be able to pick up some prelims that you weren't totally satisfied with for covers and that sort of thing, just because, yeah, I mean, I'm not a player at 4,000 to 6,000 on some of your published covers, for instance. If that's the range they're at. But yeah, if I could get a decent prelim that was even partially inked or had a lot of
Right.
erased piece, I would take that because at the end of the day, I mean, as a collector now, I'm kind of always trying to get like at least a piece from all the artists that I really admire. So and I know I couldn't get I can't get an interior page because I can't buy a whole book from you, and I can't buy a cover because I can't afford it. So that would be like my next best thing. And I'm sure that there's a lot of other collectors who'd be in that same kind of position.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you buy stuff from people you admire, but you have nothing by Frank.
Well, hey, there's a lot of other artists I don't have any published work from.
I got it. Yeah.
No. Hey, you can't say it like that. But yeah, but I have not ever owned a piece of Frank's artwork. I hate to say that. I don't know how that's actually even possible given how many shows we've been at together, but it's true. But maybe it's just because you keep throwing all the stuff that I can afford.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Ronald Shepard says Frank's trash guy is the happiest guy on the planet. Well, not if they're crumpled up and torn, but
Or burned.
or burned. Oh man. So let's turn this a little bit over to you, Steve.
Use notepads for me. It's
Yes.
like, hey, Steve, do this, and I turn it over, and it's got a Captain America head on it or something.
Hey, but I do understand the need for keeping quality out there because there are a lot of a lot of reps that do sell really rough unfinished pieces, but in some cases that like today that's some of the only stuff that they have left to sell. But again, I think You don't have to tear up everything. That's all I'm trying to say. And I guess, okay, before we get to talk to Steve about one thing, Knights of Old wants to know if you collect OA, Frank. I mean, do you have a lot of original art that you've picked up for yourself, or you just uh,
I have so I've been trying to get Don Newton's Detective Comics 513. Don Newton's pencil ink by Dan Atkins. That issue, because that issue I saw that issue when I was in 5th grade, and that just put a just kind of like just put a big impression on me. So I got about like 10 pages of that story.
Oh, wow.
So I've been trying to track that down. So if anyone has Detective Comics 513 pages from that, let me know. I'll offer a fair price. I got let's see. I also try to collect Simon Bisley, 1990 Simon Bisley. So I got a couple of really nice pieces from that era. I have 2 J.C. Call, which is a illustrator, American illustrator from 1920s, 1910, 1920s, around there. And I have 1 Franklin Booth, a watercolor.
Oh, nice.
But I don't really collect my my peers, the stuff that I gravitate toward are like the guys that I was a big fan of, a huge influence on me, like all the American illustrators and stuff like that, all the dead guys. All the dead guys. So so mainly American illustrators that I like to collect. I don't have much because I haven't found stuff that I really like, to justify that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of kicking myself for letting go of Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein plate.
Oh, wow. You had the good fortune of owning one at one point?
No, I almost bought it.
Oh, you almost bought it. Okay.
And
But
yeah, I basically said, let me walk away, because it was like Albert Moy was selling it. And it was a little bit too much money than I was willing to spend at that time. And thinking back, I should have just bought it. I should have just went over to Steve and say, hey, lend me some money, and just bought it. But yeah, I mean, it was just like, I just couldn't justify dropping 20 grand at that time, for a 1 piece of art. You know what I'm saying? Now that piece is probably worth about like 40 or 50,
or a little more, maybe.
Yeah.
At this rate. So that's a good, so what do you guys both feel about the art market these days with the prices where everything's at? I mean,
It's insane.
Isn't it? I mean, we all thought going into COVID that things were going to get bad, right? We weren't going to have cons, and and no cons mean less opportunity to sell, less opportunity to buy, and that didn't happen at all. I mean, literally after the first 6 months of the pandemic, around that first fall, things just the heritage auctions started going crazy, Comic Links auctions started going crazy. The price of even new comic art coming out started becoming inflated. So
I mean, Steve, I've seen some of Steve's collection, and Steve got some really prime pieces. I didn't know too much about Jim Aparo. Yeah, like you had was it a Batman cover?
I had a couple. I had past tense, but
right. And then so I really enjoyed Jim Aparo stuff from the 60s and early 70s, and I was just shocked by the price, how much it costs now. And I mean, it worked out for Steve, but I was just like, Jesus Christ, like a cover by Jim Aparo goes, basically what was like 6-figure, something like that. It's like it's insane.
It's not saying, but it's true. I mean, literally in the last 18, 20 months, a lot of the choice artwork has literally gone up. You can say easily double, but you could, in many cases, even 4 or 5 times what it would have sold for 3 or 4 years ago. And it's pulling everything up too. I mean, as far as even the pieces that might have sold for $300, 3 or 4 years ago, are selling for $750, $850, which we never saw that kind of a price increase in the last. It's never happened before like it's happening now, and it's it's frustrating for a lot of collectors because it does price them out of the market. I mean, that's why even for me, I'm like, I want to get at least one thing from as many creators as I can because I don't think I'm going to be able to own two, right? And if Steve, you sold an apparel cover, good luck trying to replace it, right? In this market, that's the sad thing. So a lot of people are going to hold on to their artwork now because they know they cannot replace it.
I mean, it's crazy because like, I'm a big fan of John Buscema, Conan. So there was I collect Savage Sword of Conan magazine, and there was a piece, story. It was John Buscema, pencil and ink by Rudy Nebres. Just love it. And I remember I got a page from that collection, and it was at that time it was like about $300, $300, and now that's from that same story. It's about 1,500. It's just insane. And let's be honest, John Buscema is very prolific. So he has a lot of pages out there. But to jump like from 300 to 1,500 or more is absolutely insane. All within like 3 years.
No, it's true. I mean, because I like X-Men art, right? So I follow the Burn X-Men market. I mean, 15 years ago, we could buy an average page for $2,500, $3,000. Maybe 5 years ago, those same pages might have been 8 to 10, on an average page, 8 to 12. Now you can't touch a page for 30, at 30. That's really the starting point. So, I mean, it's across the board. Every if it's from a piece that has any nostalgic quality to it, and it's from an important artist, I mean, the price is out of this world at this point. So, see, Rich Danny's actually says 1,500. It sounds like a good deal because it's true. We've been selling the like Buscema Conan pieces on some of the shows that we do, and they're usually around $2,200. So it's crazy where things are at now.
I mean, Steve at one point had the best Vampirella collection that I've ever seen. I mean, he had full issues, and I'm just kind of like
stories.
And then so I'm just kind of like, I have no idea how much they're worth now, because it's just like the prices that you knew 3 years ago, it's just obsolete. I mean, it's like the Wild Wild West.
It is. We've been doing heritage recap shows after every signature auction, and it's tough because like this last one, we were like, oh, these were all deals, or not all. Say half of the pieces we talked about, we said they were a deal, but the thing is, it was still selling for 2 or 3 times what it would have sold for 3 years ago. It's just that our expectations of the growth, I think, are getting a little bit further along. Like somebody, there was that Larkin Dazzler cover, which we said was a deal, but it sold for what, $55,000. 3 or 4 years ago, that even as impressive as that piece was, and the first direct market book sold how many hundreds of thousands of copies. At the end of the day, though, 3 years ago, that piece might have been $14,000-$15,000 maybe, I mean, at that point, and it still went for 55, and we felt that was a disappointment in this market. Right. So it's I know it's so challenging when you're looking at things, because people are that's the problem. It's that fear of missing out, right? FOMO. Everybody they think it's the last time they're going to see a potential piece, so people are overpaying, and
my philosophy has always been, when I have more money than there is art to buy, then I'll worry about losing out on a piece. But there's so much art out there that I find attractive that if I can't get this piece, I go to the next one. And, prices are nuts. That's why I sold the detective covers. I got a good offer for them. It was, it was a tough decision, but it was there because, I don't have kids. There's nobody to hand it off to. So, I just use it for other things, like paying for an Aston Martin or
buying another house in Hawaii, right?
I got to pay off the Italian one first.
well, you've got a lot of art to sell, though, so you can slowly wean yourself off some of the pieces in your collection.
Yep.
Did you sell off all of your Vampirella stuff?
Pretty much, not all of it, but most of it.
Right.
I mean, the advantage there is I had so much of it that the prices went up because I was the only guy that could sell it, because I had pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
Nice, supply and demand. When you're the only one selling, you can get what you want.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. I mean, like going back, do I collect? So I grew up. My prime comic book collecting period was 1983 to 1990. So I've been looking for original art from that time period for all the books that I collected, and I gave up when I realized who has it. David Mandel. So apparently he collected roughly the same time period. So he got it all. He got all the issues, all the pages that I want. It's in his collection, and and Dave's a great guy. So we would, every time we were in LA, we would try to drop by and check out his collection, and he has them. And it's just like at that point, I just like gave up. I'm like, I can't compete with Dave.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
first time I brought Frank over to Dave's place, Frank was just jaw drop every time a new portfolio would open up. He'd go,
Yeah, it's basically those are the pages I was looking for. He has them. He has all the the Secret War, Mike Zeck Secret War, the Paul Smith X-Men, Barry Windsor Smith, the X-Men, the Lone Wolf, that issue.
Mhm.
God, I mean, he has it all, and not only that, he has like an absolutely fantastic movie movie prop collection.
Yeah. He
So
does his own podcast on collecting movie props, I think.
yeah, he had all these Star Wars, original Star Wars props, Indiana Jones, Planet of the Apes, all the stuff that I love. So I mean, so Dave is like, he's like my spirit animal when it comes to collecting. So he got all of it. So I guess, I guess I should be happy, because if I want to see it, I just go over to Dave's place and just check it out.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Dave's collection, and he has some of it on CAF though, but I've never managed to make it over to his place. But yeah, that would be like going to a museum.
Oh yeah, I mean, not only that, he's he's a super nice guy, and like
Oh yeah.
I think like one of the top 3 best collections I've ever seen. I mean, he had the thing that blew me away about Dave Mandel's collection. He had a Muka original. I have never seen a Muka original outside of a
No.
museum, and he had one, and it was hanging on his dining room wall. It was just like just mind blowing. That's just the level of collection that he has, and it's just absolutely just stunning.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to buy a ticket to see that. You guys like Steranko's art? Little Will? No.
I do. I do.
Okay.
No,
Frank's
I know
Frank.
there's a big exhibition of his stuff somewhere.
Yeah, it's in Youngstown right now. So, but mostly all paintings though too. No line art. All paintings.
no, I love Steranko's painting stuff. He did all those shadow covers that he does.
Yeah. There were literally, I think, 30, because I don't think he must not sell them, because they had all of them, and the whole exhibition at the museum was just his painted work, and yeah, it was pretty impressive. I was there over the weekend, but the shadow work was the best. I mean, they were incredible, and all probably like I don't know, they released like 18 by 30, so pretty decent size. I was kind of expecting them to be smaller, but they had a lot of that, and then a lot of his earlier work too. But it wasn't like a gallery show where you might go in and only see, say, 30 pieces only. They had 3 large halls of his work, and it was impressive. But yeah, it's in Youngstown, Ohio, of all places. So not a destination for a lot of people. But again, first time I'd seen an exhibition of anything that's close to illustration or comic art in a venue quite like that. It's nice to see.
Was
Actually,
he there for the opening?
What's that?
Was he
Oh yeah, he
there?
was. Well, there was a reception this weekend. So the opening was a couple weeks ago, but he was there at the reception. Couldn't take any pictures, of course, while throughout all of it. But yeah, he was doing his usual thing, and he knows how to wow a crowd just telling stories and things. So I mean, he was a big wow once, right? Didn't we?
Yeah. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you remember that I ended up having to basically be his handler there. So I was with him for probably 4 or 5 hours, and then went out to dinner with him. And during that whole time, he didn't tell the same story twice.
Right.
It was just, and the line was, it was an hour to wait to get stuff signed, and nobody complained because you could hear the stories, because he would talk to everybody. It wasn't just sign and then boom out. it was 15 minutes for signatures, tell you a story and banter with you. And then no one in line was bitching about the fact the line wasn't working because they were there getting a free floor show.
Exactly.
He was-
Yeah. No, that's what it was like here at the reception. He literally had, 30, 40 people standing in front of him while he's just talking about his career as a, as a magician, basically, and all the way up to escape artist, right? Exactly. Well, he wrote several books on card tricks, even that people was stolen from him apparently, and other people published. So he's got he has many axes to grind, I think, and for many different reasons. But yeah, he was same thing. It was like story after story after story. Talk about Stan 1 minute, he'd be talking about Kirby the next, and then switch back to how the publisher or the art director of the Shadow, whoever was publishing the Shadow books, didn't like his last paintings because the prior art director even Stranko didn't like the direction he was getting on it. And so when the new art director was hired, they brought Stranko in and said, we're only going to give you the chance to paint one more cover or you're out. And he's like, do you like what you've been doing? And Stranko's like, no, it was terrible. I hated it. I hated doing every one of them, but that's what I painted, what they wanted. And they said, well, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I want. I want you to paint what you think we should have on the cover of these books. And if we like it, we're going to keep you. And if not, we're going to, you're out on your rear end. And so he brought it in, and someone's like, well, so did it work? And he's like, well, look around you, because he's standing in the room with all this Shadow stuff. And the best moment was Berkey was with me, and Berkey, one of his conversations, Stranko said something about, he was talking about creativity. And Berkey, I don't know why the hell he said this. He said, well, Einstein even said creativity is far more important than intelligence. And Stranko turned to him and he's like, what comic book did Einstein create? And everybody just laughed at Mike. And Mike laughed along with it, but it was just the funniest moment to have Stranko put down Berkey in front of all these people. But it was, but that's just Stranko though, right? He's got a quip for everything, and he's got a story to match everything as well. So at any rate, but it's nice to see a museum putting in, giving the space to an illustrator, and hopefully we'll see more of that in the future.
That was the Youngstown Museum. Is it an actual museum, or is it?
Yeah, it's believe it or not, if you Google it, it's the Butler Institute of American Art, and it's actually, and I didn't even realize it, but it's one of the best museums in the country that focuses strictly on American artists, and they've been around for a long time. I've never been there. I mean, that's literally like about an hour from my house, but it was impressive. Even the other exhibits that they had on display there were pretty amazing. So yeah.
Comic art or American illustration?
Well, just all American painters, primarily. It's an amazing museum. I mean, the Stranko exhibit was probably just 1/10 of the overall exhibition space that they had there. So yeah, I mean, again, in the middle of nowhere, I had no idea, but yeah.
There's one in Stockton. I think it's called the Hagen, but I'm not sure. But they've got one of the biggest, I think it's Linedecker collections. But it's an hour from here. Dan Brereton swears by it. So if you ever want to check out that stuff, I'll check with Dan, get the name of it. I've only been there once, but it was pretty cool. And he got kind of the backstage tour, as it were. So
yeah, I was in Sarasota, Florida, Boca Grande, Florida. Checked out the Frazetta Museum in Florida, and that was really nice. It was actually pretty cool. Had hung out with Sarah Frazetta, Frazetta's granddaughter. She was actually really nice, and I met her mom, Holly Frazetta. So they're fun, just kind of showing us all the paintings and all that. And it was actually pretty nice. If you get a chance to go to Florida, you should check it out. They have about 20 pieces, I think,
Yeah, no, it's on my list once I get down there. Yeah, I really want to. Because
Yeah.
I've never, the Frazetta Museum is probably like, the one in PA is only probably like 2.5 hours away from me. And I never went to it while in its heyday. So
Right.
I regret that.
So yeah, so the Frazetta collection got split up by the four kids, and and several, like few, like a good chunk of it, was sold off, but all the prime piece, a lot of the prime pieces is still in the family,
Hmm.
and Holly did a nice job of putting it up, making a museum out of it, with her collection. So it's really nice. It was actually, like people, you see Frazetta, and then you see the original, and then you're just kind of like just stunned by how brilliant the color is.
Hmm.
Something that's kind of hard to translate in when it's printed. So that was really cool. Got to see the couple of Death Dealer stuff. One major one. What did I see? I mean, you get a lot of great paintings.
Well, it's on my
Is
list.
that why you can't finish your Death Dealer? Performance anxiety?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's where the cover ideas come from.
Yeah, exactly. It was after seeing the original Frazetta, I'm like, shit, I can't do this.
Oh man. Well, we've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes, and Steve, I haven't talked with you about your collecting interests whatsoever. So that was why I wrote this thing up. We're going to talk about Como, and then we're going to talk about that. But we've been at this for so long. I got to at least give me a little bit of a scoop on your origin story in collecting original art. I mean, what turned you on to buying your first piece of art? I mean, were you already into comics when you did that? What was, because the thing is, and I should say this, because if anybody's familiar with your collection, Steve, you don't have a lot of costume superhero pieces in your collection by and large. I mean, it's, you really
did.
Oh, but you did. Okay. All
No,
right.
if I did, I mean,
If you did. Okay.
so kind of the thumbnail synopsis is: when I was a little kid, my mom said, "I don't care what you read, so long as you read." And there was a little junk store by our house that sold comics for a nickel. And luckily I got X-Men 1, Tales of Suspense 39, books like that for a nickel. They're all beat to crap, but hey, it's been a good return on investment. And I'm a pack rat, so I just kept collecting comics and kept collecting comics, and I think my collection got to be about 30,000 comic books. And then I was running out of space. And so I found art, and then realized that, it's one of a kind. It is from the comics. And so started collecting that. And, luckily when I was working full time, had disposable income. So I bought a lot of stuff and got up, I think at the best, my collection was about 2,000 pieces. It's probably down to 700 or 800 now. I used to like to collect a lot of complete stories. I mean, the joke about the costume superheroes is I always collected either monster or good girl stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of Vampirella, which was both of them, Frankenstein's. At one point I had all of Pablo Marcos' Tales of Zombie stuff. So I just collected that stuff, and I've been slowly letting stuff go. Still have a good bit of stuff, but that's kind of the thumbnail. Of started out with mom wanting me to read and working my way up through comic art and then doing comic book conventions.
Well, you've had a lot of cool experiences because of comics. I mean, you've gotten to meet a lot of great artists, and you get to hang out with Frank and everything. But I think that
That's
that's a negative.
that's a negative. Yeah, no, I don't think so. But what was it about the artists who were doing more? I mean, because in a weird way, I know it's more painterly. You weren't really, at least I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to me it's like the art that you really look for was, like you say, it's more pinups, but it is more of the on the painted side of things, the illustration side of the medium versus the line art stuff. Is it just kind of a taste? You prefer, say, colored work or that kind of thing? Or you
not
painterly work?
necessarily. I like the stuff that can be displayed as a single piece. I mean, for me, it's always been tough to to frame a panel page, because if it's from a 20-page story, you normally don't get a full story in one page. I have a great Dracula page from the Dick Giordano adaptation from Dracula Lives, where it's the first page where, you know, Dracula says, "Enter of your own free will." And that's just really a great, even though it's a panel page, it has everything you want in something you put on your wall. But most of this stuff I do like to frame, either that or do complete stories. So I've got a lot of black and white art, but most of this stuff that I put out is the color pieces, because I think it grabs you more, not necessarily as a comic art collector, but as just somebody that appreciates art, whether it's comics or not. You know, I think I love San Julian stuff. And, you know, I think I sent you his take on Marilyn Monroe, Estate of Barra. Yeah, that one. And, you know, he was at my booth in San Diego, and I've got a number of San Julian pieces, and it was like, I don't need another one. And then he opens his portfolio and has that one, and it's like, damn you. And, you know, here's my wallet. But that's normally set up right above my computer. I took it off to get you the shot, but I look at that every day when I'm on the computer.
Well, that's nice. I mean, and that's true. When I asked you to submit artwork images for me, everything was framed, so you had to take photographs of everything.
Nice.
And a lot of the pieces that you sent too weren't in your CAF. So why don't we show a few of those other images here? This was Howard Chaykin. That's nice.
Yeah, that was one I got in probably in the early 90s. A local comic shop, Flying Colors, had an auction. And then they had that piece. And then got another one, a Chamber of Chills cover by Frank Bruner, who I just love his stuff. But I've had that for probably almost 30 years now. So a lot of this stuff hasn't been seen for a while unless you've been over to the house.
Well, speaking of Frank Bruner.
Yep.
Man, that's beautiful. But again, these are pieces that should be hanging on a wall. I mean, that's just amazing. Let me see. I think you had another piece by Bruner as well.
Yeah, the other one I sent you was actually the very first piece of comic art I bought at Baycon at the Claremont Hotel in 1974, I believe. And Frank was there, and it was outrageously expensive. I paid $100 for it back then. But he was just the greatest guy, because he was doing a book for Star Reach.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to buy it because it was his stuff. And he was like, no, don't buy this. So he walked through the issues with me that he had, because there were a lot of printer mistakes. And so here I am, a kid, 14, 15 years old, and Frank's making sure that I got the best piece or the best comic.
Mm-hmm. And
like, okay, I'll use all the money that I have to buy a piece from this cool guy. And I've loved his stuff ever since. That period of kind of the cosmic stuff with Bruner, Starlin, Val Mayrick, Howard the Duck, Man-Thing. That was my sweet spot of the stuff.
So that was in the mid-70s. That's your prime collecting period?
Yeah. So I'm going to show, I think the Bruner is topless. I have to let everybody know there's a few topless images in here, but topless is okay, everybody. And everybody keeps thinking I'm the topless police on the channel and even on CAF, but I'm not. And so we're going to show a few of these tonight. They're tasteful nudes, and that's allowed on YouTube and Facebook, by the way. So this is a piece?
Yep, that's the very first piece I got. And Frank told me, I ran into him at New York Comic Con 5 or 6 years ago, showed him the image, and he said it was from a fanzine. So it wasn't really from a comic, but and to this day, it's still one of my favorite pieces.
It's amazing. So this being your first piece of art, that's awesome. Has a kind of a Fabian feel, but Bruner, I mean, I love his inking style. This is gorgeous. Man, that's a good place to start as a first piece of art, Steve.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, most of us start with a little con sketch or something that probably costs a lot more than that piece did. But yeah, that's a great place to start, and you still have it.
Well, I don't know if it would have cost more in 1974.
True.
Back then I was buying Gene Colan pages from Dracula and Doctor Strange for $10.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're killing me. I finally got a really nice Gene Colan Doctor Strange page, inked by Palmer, but it cost me closer to $2,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he was on my list, so I finally got something by him. But yeah, let's look at a few more pieces here. Ray Lago.
Very good friend of mine. I just
Yeah.
love, for me, Ray, his pencil work and his watercolor work are just some of the best. He's a great oil painter as well, but his watercolor stuff is just so soft and so lovely. I just love his stuff.
Yeah, he's always had a really great style, and not a lot of his artwork out there for purchase, unfortunately. Let's see here. Oh, Michael Bear.
Yep, another really good friend.
Yeah,
That's
he was a regular at the shows.
Storm #2 cover. I also have the #1, but it technically belongs to him, even though it's in my portfolio.
I'm sure there's a story behind that. What's Michael doing these days? Is he still? I used to email with him every so often, but
He bought a house in Baltimore, and he's been very, very slowly moving in. He seems to follow the Frank Cho deadline model. And he's promised that he's going to start doing commissions. He's got an idea for doing cover recreations that I think will work well, but he just needs to sit his ass down and start drawing. I mean, the way I met Mike was in San Diego. Is he showed up in '93 and had a pile of Vampirella art, which obviously was attractive. I set a piece away, was looking through the other pile, and then he sold the piece that I had set aside. And so he goes, "Oh, I've got more of them at home." And so we started corresponding, and I was buying stuff from him. And then we got to be really good friends. And then he'd come out every year for San Diego, and we'd do road trips to LA, stay at Jim Silk's house, and then go to Vegas and have a blast. So it was a good friendship.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, and speaking of Dave Stevens.
Yep.
Man, I just Dave's work is just mind blowing, and this piece is simply amazing. I can't believe you get to look at this thing every day. So I'm pretty jealous.
Yeah, and he was a good guy too.
Yeah. No, there's definitely not a lot of not enough of his artwork on CAF, for sure. I actually found Berkey had a piece of Dave Stevens art, and I set it aside. I'm like, I can't buy this now, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to pick up something by him. So just the other day, I discovered something in a closet. I was like, this is gonna be mine one day. Don't touch it. Don't do a Michael Bear on me and sell it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Then Charles Vess, man.
Yep.
Now, what's this from?
This was, I want to say, the first Ballad and Legends that he did. He adapted a lot of the old Celtic stories, and this is one called Thomas the Rhymer. And then I've got probably 5 or 6 paintings by him. And actually just saw him. He came out for one of Wyatt's one-day shows, and I took he and his wife out for dinner. It was really nice to get back, because I hadn't seen him in probably 15, 20 years.
Yeah, what's the size on this one?
Probably about 14 by 20.
Dang. Oh man, I've always loved Vess's work. It's another one I've never had the good fortune of owning anything by. And I did an interview with a gallery owner in New York, comic art gallery that was in there in the 70s, and he sent me a bunch of photographs that I could use for the interview. And Vess was in a lot of the photographs because he was kind of hanging around, Wrightson and the guys at the studio. So in a lot of the photographs, Vess was, and really young though. I mean, must have been almost 20 years old at the time. But it's cool that he was around during that period and got to probably go to the studio several times, and I mean, and then he turned into an incredible talent.
Well, he and Kaluta are really good friends.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Speaking of Jim Silk earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, I
was gonna say I love his graphic style. He's always had a really interesting approach to painting, and I just like it. It's very unique.
Yeah, I like this one because it combines Vampy, which was my thing, along with the Strangers in Paradise characters, which was his. This was published in one of the Harris books where they did crossovers. Because I remember there was one that Jimmy did, Palmiotti did with Painkiller Jane, if I remember correctly. And then I think, it was like 15 or 20 different artists doing crossovers. And this is actually the favorite piece. I've had a ton of Jim Silk and still have a ton of Jim Silk art, but this has always been my favorite because it's got a little personal attachment to him with the Strangers characters.
Sure.
You mean Rascals in Paradise.
Right. Strangers in Paradise is Terry Moore. Rascals in Paradise. Yeah.
Rascals in Paradise. Thank you, Frank. Let's see.
Vargas.
There is a Vargas in here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, look, there's a Frank Cho. You got to have some Frank Cho in your collection, Steve.
I have a couple. I've got that. I've got a Shauna. I've got a Deja, which I would have sent you because of the ones I have. That's my favorite, but it's out being framed. Wyatt's got it.
And you also have my Wonder Woman cover.
Yeah, I have no idea where the hell that is. That's somewhere around the world. It's in a touring DC show, and I think I haven't seen it in 5 years. But I've got the one that the panty shot that caused so much grief.
Hey, Marcus did ask, are all these Steve Wyatt frames?
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot how that he did that. Yeah, no, he does a great job. Wow. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Liam Sharp, very nice. Dang.
Was that a cover or a commission?
No, it was a cover for a Red Sonja issue for, I think, Dynamite.
Dynamite? It's nice.
Yeah, Nick Brucci would know. He's in the audience. Yep, and the Vargas is next, and it is topless, everybody. Let's see. There we go. To own a Vargas would be any pinup collector's dream, I'd say. So this is nice to have in your collection, Steve.
Yeah, the story behind this one is Mitch had it. Mitch Itkowitz had it, and it was in San Diego. It was not cheap at the time. It was the most expensive piece I ever bought, but it was one of those things. You walk the floor looking for stuff, and for some reason, I just kept gravitating to this piece over the whole show. And then an artist friend of mine, I was telling him how much I liked it, and said, we make tons of cash here. If you want the cash, I'd prefer to give it to you, and then you just pay me later, because that way I'm not walking around San Diego with tens of thousands of dollars. And so it was like, and then I went back to Mitch, and he's like, he gave me a deal. He knocked some money off of it. So it was like, oh, okay, it's meant to be. And then another good friend of mine had just gotten an inheritance, and he said, I'll loan you the money so you can pay back the artist, and then just pay me back whenever. So it was like, crap. Okay. So I bought it and never regretted it.
No, I mean, how could you? I mean, this kind of stuff just doesn't come out, on the market that often. And it doesn't surprise me Mitch is the one to have it. I mean, he kind of had pieces like this, for a long time in San Diego, but no, kudos to you for sticking with that one and getting it, because you pass up something like that, an opportunity to pick up another one just isn't going to come around.
I mean, the thing that's nice about Mitch's booth is he has new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of the booths you go to, you see stuff that you've seen for multiple shows. With Mitch, it's always something new. And, a lot of this stuff doesn't grab me, but frequently he's got one or two pieces that are just like, holy moly.
Yeah. So. No, I agree. I mean, that is because, you're right. I mean, the usual art dealers. I mean, even Mark Hay, I love Mark to death, but the stuff on his back wall at San Diego every year, you probably see about 50% of the same stuff you might have seen the year before because of the churn and whatever. So no, Mitch always, I mean, I don't think Mitch would go to a show if he was bringing the same old stuff because it wouldn't be worth it to him. I mean,
right.
So yeah, that's true.
And Mark is going to Como, not to put more pressure on you.
I know. He told me that a couple weeks ago. I was like, doggone it. And but I guess he was scheduled to go to there in 2020, right? So, this is a makeup trip for him. he's got so many artists in Europe. I mean, he should be making regular trips over there anyway. So, all right. So yeah, I have another reason to go because Mark's going.
Yep. Dan Burton.
Yeah. Dan's amazing. Yeah, I love the color palettes he uses. I mean, it's just really unique to him, and it's so you look at it and you think that these things shouldn't work together, but they do, and he just pulls it off amazingly.
And that was a cover to an art book called Enchantress that I published for him.
Well, then you had to get the cover then.
Yep, I've got 2 or 3 of them. But then he went off after I taught him Kickstarter. He went off and started doing it on his own. So.
Yeah. Well, publishing books is a lot of work, Steve. I do one a year now, and it's like big wow. It's work, and you never end up making a whole lot of money at it. It's rewarding, right? To go through all of that, but it's still, it feels like work.
Yeah, I'm doing a Matahari book for Jim Silk that has been, pretty much with COVID and all this stuff. It's going to be a great book when it's done. It should have been done in December, and it's probably going to get done in June. It's frustrating, all the delays, but hopefully the end product is worth it. And I think it will be.
Let's see here. Oh, Mark Teixeira.
Yep.
Man.
He's in. Is he in Florida or is he in LA now?
He's outside of LA, California. Moved from New York.
Right.
Well, what was this from? I forget.
Punisher War Journal 75.
That's right. Dang. Yeah, this is nice.
His painting stuff, his pencils and inks too, but his oil painting stuff is just stunning. And, they don't all hit, but when they do, like this one, I just think this is gorgeous.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. I mean, this is it's just crazy. I've seen Texas painted pieces before, but yeah, this is a good one. No, he's fantastic. But I have owned artwork from Tex before. I still have a few pieces, thankfully. Let's see. The Doug Sneed piece is next. So everybody just, if you got children watching, you can maybe you might want to cover their eyes for a second, or maybe not. I mean, this might be
you might learn something.
You might learn something, right? Exactly. But I think this one has a little professional interest for you, Steve.
Yeah, this will teach you how to treat your lawyer.
That's right. Exactly. But I love Doug. He's a great guy. I emailed with him a lot after Big Wow, believe it or not, because he'd send me a lot of press releases just about stuff that they were working on and everything. So I was really always happy to kind of promote what he was doing, because he's just such a nice guy, and he's got a lot of work out there that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, one of my friends, a guy named Todd, had corresponded with him and then suggested that I bring him out to Big Wow. And so we did. And then he ended up setting up with me for a number of years in San Diego. And then one year he gave me this piece. And then the punchline, I'm a lawyer. And so the punchline is, my mom always told me to put myself in the hands of a good lawyer. And then I don't know if you can see at the back where you've got the diploma. It's University of California, which is where I graduated from. He was originally going to do the guy with a mustache, but he said it didn't work as well. But fine by me.
But yeah, Doug and Heidi were always, they're great. Yeah, because he even sent me a couple books a couple years after Big Wow, just from stuff that I was just helping get word out about his art sales and stuff. So they were people that really took care of you if you did good things for him. And that's one of the greatest parts of this hobby. And again, for all the time that you've had in it and doing the publishing work and the shows, it's those experiences that you get to have with with artists or collectors when they take care of you because you're working hard for them. That means the world to make an experience even better. And that's one thing that I always I kind of cherish in the hobby, that I've learned that's the way to treat other collectors and artists. You treat everybody with respect, and it'll come back to you in spades.
Yep.
Actually, I have to take off. I got to finish this one piece before tomorrow, so
Nope,
So-
not a problem. We're over the 2-hour mark, so we got to be almost done as well, Frank. But listen, man, it was nice talking with you.
Great talking with you.
Hope to see you in Como next year.
Right.
See you home.
All right. I'll see you later.
Good
All
night,
right.
Frank.
Bye.
Bye.
How do I get out?
There's a leave studio button at the bottom. I
Got
can
a
force
little
you.
a
Yeah,
red
little-
dot next on it, at the very bottom of the screen.
There it is. That's my artist.
Oh man, no, that's great. I'm glad Frank got to hang out with us tonight. That was a treat.
Yeah,
So
we
I
always have
mean, I think I showed all the pictures and slides and stuff from Como that I brought, but yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. And I hope that we do get to do that live stream with Tatiana. She said as long as the internet's good, she's going to do a walkthrough with me on that Saturday. So hopefully, I'll get that in and I'll be able to show everybody who can't make the trip how cool Como is and why everybody should be going in 2023.
And then I don't think I said this yet, but the website is lccaf.com. Lake
That's true.
Como Art Festival.com, but it's just the initials, LCCAF.
And I did write that in the description of the show. So if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook, the Como address was the first link. And then I put a link in there to Steve's CAF Gallery as well, figuring everybody want to check out Steve's collection that he does share on CAF, and send him some comments and send him some positive emails about all that great art he's got in his CAF Gallery. But Steve, I was worried when I first started talking to you, all those boxes in the background. I thought you were maybe moving.
No, this is my living room, is my shipping. Frank did a book that I've been selling through the Big Wow Facebook group. And so this is where I do my fulfillment, is in my living room.
Oh, so you do it all yourself, huh? You don't have any helpers?
Yep.
Well, that's admirable.
You deal with law crap, which is stressful, and then you pack boxes, which you don't have to think about. It's kind of a nice way to wind down.
Well, not bad. Did I tell you about the book that I publish every year?
Infected by Art?
Yeah, the Infected. Oh, that's right. You were right, because you were there at the beginning. I was talking with you. Yeah, Todd came out that one time too. I forgot about that. That's right. See, man, time. I think I've forgotten more than I remember in the last couple of years. But yeah, I still do that. It's fun.
Right. Stan Julian was one of your judges one year.
He was. He definitely. Yeah, absolutely was. And you know what? Have you ever gone to that IX Art show in PA?
No.
That would be, it's the only comparable show that is probably, it's, similar to Como, but, that's in the States. That's all about the, artists. And it's just really unique. But of course, it's more of the, Magic the Gathering painters and the, trade paperback, you get Bob Eggleton's and those kind of guys set up there. But I would think that's a little bit up your alley. It's kind of in the same genre. I mean, Boris is always there, and Julie Bell. Because I think they're in PA too, but that'd be a show if you ever made it out this way. I would definitely.
Tatiana raves about it.
Oh, that's right, Tatiana. Yeah, she's been out there several times. But hey, listen, I don't want to keep you any longer than I already have. We're already at the 2-hour 15 mark. So hopefully maybe I'll catch a glimpse of you when I'm doing the thing with Tatiana during the show. But have fun out there for your 5 weeks, and I won't say count on me for 2023, but I'll definitely try.
Okay. Nice. If you want me back, just let me know.
All right, Steve. Thank you very much. And everybody, thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate it. So I guess I'll see you tomorrow on a CAF update. Steve, thanks again, and have a great night.